Welcome to a new spirit that will warm your heart. Welcome to a new spirit. Every day's a brand new start. Where encouraging words can heal your soul and dreams will be renewed. Welcome to a new spirit, a new spirit in you.
Indiana Jones found the Ark of the Covenant. Welcome to the New Spirit Radio Show by the Society of Novus Spiritus, founded by world-renowned spiritual teacher Sylvia Browne. Today's date, I sure hope it's, well, this says November, no, we're November 30th, that's where we are. And somebody's talking in the background here on me. Oh well, we'll figure that out later. We're coming to you live from California. Both NorCal and SoCal are your hosts, Reverend Tom Bigley and MIT Catherine Taylor, playing audio segments we call Messages from Spirit. Why? Answering the ultimate question, why are we here and what is our purpose?
These segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. So for new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. We think of our body as being similar to a car, where one driver gets out and another driver gets in. This allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Rahim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francine and Rahim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides, Christ, and many others.
And meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench in a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, MIT Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley.
Hello!
Hey, how's it happening? I sure hope it's happening.
Good. I hope you had a pleasant Thanksgiving and full of warmth and love and delicious food. And I wish the same for all of our listeners.
Yes, actually, I did. We had fun. We played. We did dinner. We had horse ovaries or no horse hors d'oeuvres and pre event.
Horse ovaries? Is that what you said?
Yes, horse's ovaries.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres. That's how you spell hors d'oeuvres. And then we had some drinks. My future son-in-law brought some moonshine, is what he called it. It was a really nice.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was a hard apple cider, handmade hard apple cider, really good.
Delicious.
It was heavily spiked, as it were, but you couldn't tell. Anyway, that was fun. And then we played what's called, I think it's Train. That's what it's called, Train. It's
that's a fun game.
Yeah, dominoes game. So that's our
interesting.
What's one of our family favorites?
That is wonderful.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, my turn. So, this is one of those moments in life where sometimes things don't always go the way that you want them to. Apparently, I don't know why I just said apparently, but unfortunately, we got some really unfortunate news, and my husband's father passed away on Thanksgiving morning, and so it was a difficult time. Absolutely understandably, I was in my Gnostic self, just terribly concerned for my husband's family, and just thinking. I was thinking about how we've had conversations before about how some people will pass away at certain times. Like, for instance, some people will choose for everyone to leave the room and then they will cross over. Or sometimes people will want to see a bunch of people or specific people, and then after they've got their closure, then they'll pass away. And so I was thinking that just knowing the kind of person that my father-in-law is and how concerned he was for family, I thought that it was in a way kind of a sweetness that he chose to cross over on a day where the family was going to be together.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I thought it was a sweet gesture in a way. So I just been going through it as you do when something like this happens, and just trying to be as present and loving for husband as possible. And so that's where we are. But I see my father-in-law in my mind's eye. On the other side, I can see him very kind of clearly there, and that he made it over well, and just that he continues to have his love for his family. So
good.
Yeah.
Good. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, yep. Prayers for everybody in
Yeah,
the family,
thank you.
because that's a loss is challenging, regardless of what is lost. So there's many things that give us that life challenge of grief. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I'm in a good place, and I'm just sending love and support, and just and I'm similarly sending love and goodwill to everyone who's listening, and into your families as well. And if there's anyone who's finds holidays difficult because they're reminded of things that of people who are no longer with us on our side here on Earth, just know that you're not alone, and please speak up and reach out to your friends and family that you do have, and try to be together, because being alone during this time is that's no man's land. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
good. Yeah. Get out there and,
Yeah.
and know that this too shall pass, and it's it does take time, but as challenging as you may feel at the moment, one day at a time, one step at a time is needed to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Know that God loves you, Jesus loves you, and Sylvia loves you too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The anyway, we'll bring it up later. Anyway, for new people.
Yes, new people.
We do have an agenda, but we're open about our agenda.
That's true.
We don't have hidden agendas. So we like to start out about, how did you use Novus Spiritus philosophy? And for those that are live with us now, feel free to post in chat. What how did you use Novus philosophy for the last 2 weeks? Because we were out before Thanksgiving. And then we like to talk about announcements. We'll have a moment of silence and share energy for special prayers. Then we get into the trance segments, get ourselves more educated. We participate, if you like, in a meditation, or we'll present or provide a meditation that you can participate in. I'll talk about some closing notes, and you're welcome to participate in the novena, our special prayer ceremony that comes later. I'll talk about what I'll suggest that we appreciate more, and then we conclude with a prayer by Sylvia. And so I've got it on here, but I sure hope this is going to work, or will last a while. Here we go. We'll see. So I just lit the candle for the evening. So okay, who wants to go first? You want to hot rock, scissors, paper? You want to jump in first, or you want to point at me?
I'll go first this time.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. Right. I've been using the Silver Star meditation a lot.
Okay.
Not a lot. I mean, the recommended 3 times a week. But in addition, I've also been using it in teaching other people how to meditate. Because I've got a number of people in my practice right now who are interested in meditation or interested in hypnosis also. So 2 sides of the two different sides of the spectrum. So Francine told us that we can teach a silver star meditation to other people to how to use it. So I'm taking advantage of that because some folks are in a place right now that are
could use it.
Interested. Could use it and find it helpful. So I've been really, really happy to be able to pass that along. So very excited about that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to hear, have them share their experience with that, how what changes for them.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm fidgeting over here on my side because I've played games with a couple of. Hello, we disappeared on YouTube. No, we didn't.
Yeah, no problem.
We're still on YouTube. I have two monitors over here on my left, and one of them was talking in the background that was like repeating everything I said.
Hot mess.
What was that? Well, because one is muted because that I actually use that as a for my audio. I have the headphone thing plugged into it so I can use it on the mixer, and so I can't hear it, through my ears. The other one I forgot. I just turned it on and said, "Okay, I want to see what this does for me," and so it's funny. Playing parrot for me.
That's funny.
Anyway,
I'll share one more thing because I just thought of it and I think that it's important. I have been very mindful about mentally neutralizing any time that someone has made a teasing joke at me lately about being old.
Oh, interesting.
I've just been like, no. I am young. I am ageless. I am like the most perfect age for the most ideal health. And I've just been instantly neutralizing it. So even though other people are making jokes about that, and like someone called me grandma the other day, I was like, okay. It's so funny. They're just friends joking and just being trolls. That's fine. But those are little scripts. And they're important to neutralize. So I've just been like, no, that is not my truth. Cancel.
Right.
Done.
Right.
Not my truth. I am in excellent health, which is true.
Yeah. Paybacks. A bitch. And you may not be the one paying them back. So anyway, if there's anything that they've earned, anyway, that's another
hot mess. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's that sounds like my turn.
It is your turn.
Find where the heck did I put mine? Okay, so I'm still playing games. Well, I still been thinking about the emotion and intellect, and Francine was telling me about I've got the cart before the horse. So I'm still having challenges with getting the emotion to move. There's challenges in front of me. For example, reading scripts, as it were. I've found a couple. I need to practice more, but there's a challenge of my mental shift, and it's not just me. It's a common thing of reading a script to make it sound like it's from you. Is challenging and takes me a lot. And the other challenges is being when I can only see 4 or 5 words of the sentence in a what's the right term? Teleprompter. Thank you. It's more challenging to read fluidly. So I'm having challenges with that, and been just over the Thanksgiving week was like, ugh. I was like,
oh no.
last Wednesday night, I'm like, forget everything, forget all this. I'm like, and so I was just kind of internally miserable for several days, but managed to go through the motion of things. And so I'm like, what's that? And I'm like, okay, let's take a rest, let's kind of settle out. And that's what I've been contemplating, wondering how to jumpstart again.
Nice.
Anyway, one step at a time.
One step at a time. Amen.
Let's see what if I got. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm coming back to where I'm supposed to be here. Oh, so what about anybody make comments on
Yes, got some great comments here. Erin shares that she had an interview today. I think I finally found a job that I love. Keeping fingers crossed, and I've been praying for it. Awesome,
Cool.
awesome. Keep my fingers crossed for you too. Um, Melissa shares, I explained to someone that dreams are often used as means of communication for those who passed on to tell us things, and that I have experienced. That is great to share. It's very, very helpful to share that with people to get that validations that you're not crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh, mhm.
along those lines is ask them to make them aware. Have them do
Yeah.
something that's significant to you, so that you're aware of their presence. So, like,
Mm,
I when my dad passed
good
away,
point.
where are we? What, year and a half ago? Um, um, so he had passed, and we were like I don't know, a couple weeks, a month before. Then we had the memorial, and the day after the memorial, we went out to the beach, and um, um, I mentioned, an example of making themselves aware. Well, after the memorial, the day after, I had not been getting calls for work for on a regular basis, and that day I had 11 phone calls from people asking, but I didn't answer anyway. I didn't answer the phone. I'm like, I can't answer the phone. I'm not going to answer the phone now. But all on the same day, I had 11 phone calls, and I'm like, wow, okay. So fun things like that. Some people get, like flickering lights that are, significant, or birds, or a feather shows up, or
Hmm.
maybe they'll put something that's significant to them in front of you, so that you see it.
Absolutely. Sherry shares, I prayed last night for the white light and protective bubble to surround our city in Lexington and keep the
Mm.
tornadoes away. The storm stayed towards the southern states. Um, I'm glad that you're okay. Naomi shares, I asked God for a sign that everything will be okay on this particular night, and a vehicle behind mine had only one headlight on, so I took that as a yes.
Hey,
All
there you
right.
go.
Hey, that's great. Um, let's see here. And then within 4 shares, I've been counting all my blessings lately. There have been so many challenges happening. Thank you, Asna. I hope to be somebody's blessing so I can return the grace. That's
Wow,
lovely. It's a
that's
lovely
fun.
sentiment.
Yeah.
Very, very spiritual. Um, all right, cool. So those are the comments that folks felt like sharing, and if anyone has more to share, please do. And thank you for the jokes and the laughs that some folks put in there. Like Melissa said that I should tell people to get off my lawn in response to me saying like someone called me grandma.
Oh. Okay.
Melissa always has these zingers. She's the one that's like, remember that night when that you saw sirens and you were commenting on it, and
Mm-hmm.
Melissa was like, "They're coming to take you away."
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, that's too funny. Um, so yeah, those. Look forward to sharing more of your comments. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's see. The candle's still burning. That's a good note.
Announcements, special prayers.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ooh.
Announcements. That's what it is. I just have to go find them because they're over here. Oh, yeah. Remind people, please share, promote, like, subscribe, click the bell, and donate as best you can to help keep this going and moving forward and expanding. Help more people find out about us. Appreciate. Let's see. Yeah, we didn't have a show last week on November 23rd. So yeah, because we took off for Thanksgiving. In case you're wondering why there's no show. Um, and let's see. Oh, Francine still has no pillow in the intro. So, but I did make a new video, and I just hadn't had a chance to swap them out. So,
It's funny.
let's see. And I think that was my. That's currently what I've got. I just got to figure out where I'm supposed to be screening myself. Special prayers for anyone that has special need, wants some extra energy, help, and guidance. Visualize what that is that you're looking for help with, and yes, we are all gonna take a moment here of silence and put out, ask for the archangels, archetypes, Mother God, all of the above to put that energy out and help you as best that fits the situation. So let's all take a moment of silence, and we're gonna put out energy and ask for, ask for these prayers to be answered. Amen.
Amen.
And of course, if you want to put in a special prayer to the website, you're welcome to put it enter, go to the website and look for the prayer chain. And of course, be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it. Let's see, we've got that. Then we're pretty good with that. If you darn it, what's the right word? Streaming challenge. That's the word. If you're streaming challenged at this time while we're live, feel free to jump on our conference call and hang out and listen while we're live. And of course, we do appreciate if you keep muted, so it creates a good session for those that are also listening on the conference call. That number is 888-534-2696. You're welcome to hang out there. And we'll do our best to let you know when something visual is going on. That's something I gotta remember now and then. Let's see, we've got that. Oh, now we can do, yep, trance segments. That's what we're here for. It's trance segments. I think, therefore, I am. I'm ready to jump into trance segments. Are you?
Okay, I am also ready to jump into trance segments.
All
so, let me get my notes up here. So, we're continuing on with Francine, and she's for our first segment, she's going to say palmistry isn't true, but it's a starting place. The Ramtha channeler is problematic. Yep. Go to the light.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The book Dialogue with the Devil, commentary on that, and always use your Gnostic knowledge when reading. And the seraphim, that phylum of angels, were once with Lucifer, but they parted with him very, very long time ago.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very good. All right. Take your notes and enjoy.
Chinese, they said they can read your palm line and can tell your life chart. Mm-hmm. And as your life chart changes, the palm line will change accordingly. I'm wondering why is that?
Well, for one thing, it's not true.
Oh.
But secondly, you can show your left hand. If you open up both your hands now, you will see that your left hand is decidedly different. If you're right-handed, that is. If you're left-handed, then the other hand will be decidedly different. Whatever hand you use will have more creases in it. And that's why, of course, they've interpreted it to mean. Now, anyone who's a palmist, such as the ancient Chinese or even up-to-date Chinese, if they are truly psychic, they may just use the palm as a vehicle, like people use cards or skiving. But what they're really using is they may hold the hand for the vibrations and think they're reading the palm. But what they're doing is they're taking off on a very psychic thing.
So there's no such thing as palm line?
Not unless they're using that only as a vehicle. But if they're using it as a vehicle, the same as astrology or natal astrology, the person is using that with the delineation of the planets, with affectations of different geometrical circles or what houses are in what, and they use that and then take off from there and go into the psychic realm, then it's much more.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question about karma. I was thinking about it today that if you are a white entity and you do something bad, let's say you kill somebody or you steal something, you automatically, it comes right back to you and you have to pay for that. You owe that.
First place, a white entity wouldn't steal or kill.
Yeah, true. But if you do,
But if it were such a thing as a white entity would do something that were against impure motive, let's say, yes, it instantly comes back to a white entity.
but a dark entity, it seems, if you look at, like, these people will go out and kill over and over, and then they get out, and they keep doing it over and over. Don't they owe at all, or do they just, or does it, like, build up for them, and they just get more, and
evil.
and then we have to pay the price of being around it.
Yeah.
So they aren't ever held accountable for their actions.
Oh, they'll be absorbed someday.
But in the meantime, they don't.
That's their planet, and this is their feeding ground, their feeding frenzy ground. No, they don't have to. Except they will never keep their identity, and that's a big price to pay. To lose one's identity eventually.
Oh.
To be absorbed.
Excuse me. I'd like to make a comment on something I heard about from one of our people in the mini readings, and I'd like you to make comment about it. The Ramtha teaching. I don't know if you know who Jay-Z Knight is. She's the so-called channeler of Ramtha up in the Washington State. Ramtha tells their initiates, or whatever the term is, the Ramsters, I think that's the term, tells all the Ramsters, when you die, do not go to the light. Go to the void. Because if you go to the light, you'll be stripped of your persona and you'll be thrust back into a life stupid again. But if you go to the dark, you will retain all power and knowledge and keep growing in strength. This woman in the mini readings is an 8-year student of this crap. And she gave me like a 5-minute dissertation on this, and it scared the liver out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say, but ugly, isn't it?
It's very bad. Because she's teaching people how to go to darkness.
The left door.
You see, even if a person was not astute, to say a void or darkness gives a connotation. Let's say no one knew about anything.
Yeah.
Light has always been to brighten, to illuminate, spirituality. All the saints have been shown to have halos with lights illuminating around them. Even the most ignorant person should at least not ignore the truth. To go to darkness and the void is nothingness.
Amen. It was so sickening.
It's best not to even respond to that. There's no way.
And I didn't. She said, I'm going to move up to be closer to them. I said, good, you should. You definitely should.
Yes.
She was there
Yes.
for a reading?
Yeah.
In Dialogues with the Devil, I'm trying to say Lucifer.
Saint Michael and Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer portrays Lilith as a temptress. And I thought she was the keeper of animals. It just seemed...
Oh, there's not everything that's true about this. I only use this as an analogy of giving you an idea. I never gave this as a truth to be read.
Oh, okay, so what she's writing about is...
Yeah, Lilith was in rebuttal to what witches have always thought to be their cohort. So that was in direct rebuttal to them. But what I wanted you to look at was the pathos of Lucifer and how much he makes a good dialogue. To the contrary, if it wasn't for me, in essence, where would you all be?
So we can still think of Lilith
Oh,
as the
absolutely.
keeper
Please,
of
when you read,
animals. Okay.
be Gnostic enough to realize it in everything, whether it's the other Bible or whatever. Keep somewhat of knowing that the writer uses license.
Okay. The other question was, it seemed like he portrayed people of the darkness going and being held for a while.
They are.
Oh,
They-
I thought
they-
they just came back.
They can, but some of the minions, as Rahim will tell you, were mulling about with their cowls and in their robes on. But most of the time, depending on how evil they are, they will go through the left door. But he still has his minions around because each one of them has their own spirit guide, the same as you do. Every dark entity has their own dark spirit guide with the level of, at one time, and this is something I did want to discuss with you tonight, is that at one time the seraphim were in complete accordance with Lucifer. And at some great distance from this time, I think Rahim knows the exact year, but it's been legions of time, the seraphim parted from Lucifer, but they actually were with him at one time.
Well, is it true that Lucifer's whole motivation was just jealousy, that he didn't want God to create man because he wanted him for himself?
There was a great love affair between he and God the Father, but also it was avarice and greed. That's why I've always said that greed is because not only did he not want any more creations, but when he did do creations, he wanted them for himself. But the dialogue that he portrays that he's not really as evil as they think him to be, but that he's a necessary evil, as you might use it.
That is true.
Well, now that you brought it up, and the seraphim, it seems, I don't know, they separated from Lucifer, and also his soulmate or feminine. Also, did they all separate at the same time, or how did?
No, she separated immediately.
At the very beginning.
Very beginning, when the first flick of his eye, as our Lord says, with a mote in his eye, she left.
Can we know her name?
It's Puckareer Nanareer.
I'm sorry, it's not.
Where's the button? Okay. So lots of fun
Lots of things.
unpack and it's
Yeah.
reminding me of movies nowadays. We're transitioning. It seems like to me in many instances, it's more popular or I should say, it's looking more acceptable for to be mean. In movies. So, getting back to the word minions, well, guess we've got a movie about minions. And what is their origin story? Well, they're supporting somebody that's supposed to be mean and evil. So it's an interesting
it's true.
shift in our, genres and what catches our attention, what makes us laugh, what's in, there's more and more negativity being, looked on as acceptable and funny to us. So, that's just, anyway, my pointer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, I know that Rahim talked about that Ramtha individual before. Like, somebody asked Rahim's like, who is this person? And Rahim said, we can't find an individual by that name. But so I don't know. Just if anyone is like passively curious, it just sounds like a pretty occult situation that.
Well, yeah, anybody that reads about, the activity, some of the, publicly reported activities and so on. To my recollection of what their activities were, it is an occult group.
Ugh. I hate cults. Ugh.
And
gives me heebie-jeebies.
What came to mind, hearing this comment again, was, people listening to this philosophy, learning about this philosophy, don't be concerned about what they're saying and that someone's going to influence you, to go to the dark. Well, it's if you're listening to this, I wouldn't worry about it. when you
Yeah.
when you do go on to the other side, when when you meditate, things like that, you're more than likely you're going to be led in the right direction. And also, in addition to that, the left door is closed. It's got a door
Yeah.
monitor, so it's not like you can
There's no
choose.
chance. Yeah.
Right. You're headed forward. So
Yeah.
don't
There's no
you
chance
don't
of
have
us
to worry
getting
about that.
lost and going into the wrong spot. It's
Yeah.
just it's a straight line
I mean, it's the white
to the other
tunnel,
side.
the
Yeah.
white light in the
Yeah, and it
tunnel
literally
takes you
comes
right.
out of you. Yeah, it literally comes out of your chest, and so there's nowhere else that you need to really be. And then most of the time, like a loved one is there to greet you, or an angel. But usually, like almost in every case, it's going to be a loved one because we've all had many lives. So someone is going to be there to greet us and take our hand and take us through the tunnel, and it'll be all fine. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yep.
Oh, man, wild. So I wanted to also point out what she said at the very, very start of that segment too. She was talking about palmistry.
Yeah.
And she said that palmistry is like when people use their cards, like their tarot cards, basically.
Palm reading, yeah.
Palm reading, yeah. So she said like those things are meant to be starting places. It's not that there's any like truth to the lines on your palm. It's like you hold just by touching someone else and like holding their hand and getting a feel for them, you like your own psychic sense like starts to attune to their energy, and you can get impressions, and that's how folks give cool readings that feel accurate. They're like, oh, how did that work? Is there something to this palmistry thing? It's like, no, the other person is probably psychic. That was the impression that I got from listening to what Francine was saying.
Yeah. In essence, if they're not if they're not charlatan and know how to play
Right.
the mind games of asking the right questions, which is another interesting to watch, but in how people work with that. But yeah, when they're giving you specifics like Chris and Sylvia do, then they're just that's an enhancement to help with. And a funny comment, Chris was on a TV show, I think a Sacramento show. There's a YouTube video of him, and he says something about they were asking about tarot cards, and he's like, you know what? The tarot cards, you have to be able to shuffle them and put them out, and they have to come out. They would have to come out the exact same way 100 times, or else they're BS. and I was like,
Good
oh,
point.
well, yeah, it's a fun. So, yeah, he was just pointing out that he and his mom didn't need tarot cards or anything else. It's just give it the information and go.
Yeah. It's your own psychic sense that's activating. Also, as a point of information that I thought was really interesting, and I'll say it again. They said in one of the trances that only mystical travelers can give psychic readings to other mystical travelers. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, where that you're a mystical traveler, or you took the vow, you had that conversation with God, and that's what you're doing, and your friends say like, oh, come see this person, like give a reading, like they're really good, really accurate. And then you go and you're like, and it just isn't working. Like it's super vague. It might not be that the other person isn't psychic. It might be that the other reader isn't a mystical traveler, but you are, and they can't read for you.
Yeah, fun.
So,
Yeah. Cool.
So,
Any other comments,
stuff.
or do we gonna jump on to the next?
A few interesting comments. Naomi says, near-death experiences have many accounts of heaven and tunnels of light. Absolutely. And then Naomi asks, palm reading might be like psychometry. Yeah, that would be my impression as well. So psychometry is this psychic practice of like holding an object and
Oh,
just trying to tune into the
whose
essence of
is
the
it?
object.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
like, and ask yourself whose is it? Were they a man or a woman? Did they, how old were they? And you start getting like impressions based on who was the owner of an object or like interacted with an object before. So yeah, psychometry is kind of like that. I think that's a great point.
That's one of Sylvia's fun games to help people start, how do you say, exercising your psychic ability as part of her um, psychic ability class. I believe we still have like CDs with that.
Cool.
With that class. So yeah,
Very cool.
You want to practice, find things, but don't. I was attending one of her classes years ago, and what people do is they take something personal off and pass it around the class, and you don't know who has it, and you don't know what you have, or who you have. What's the right way to say that? You have something, and you don't know who it belongs to in the class, and you start, getting a sense of asking those specific questions. That's a fun game.
That's really cool. Similarly, like if you pick up a crystal, and you can do that with a crystal, and we've been told by Sylvia that's what the Bible phrase "someday the stones will speak." It's because crystals hold so much psychic information, more so than just a regular object. So someday the stones will speak. So it's interesting, cool stuff, super cool stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Next.
Well, next segment is we're going to get into the Ark of the Covenant.
Ooh.
Being a generator from Andromeda. Super interesting. The Ark uses cold fusion and is supposed to be used for healing. Technology to freeze or overheat the body could stop many illnesses. Dark archangels. And too much self-referencing in white entities leads to ego problems. And lastly, the first mention I've ever heard of the word portals. Finally, listen to portals. Cool. All right.
All right. Let's see. What do I got to do here? Okay, let's try this, and we will take notes and nerd out.
But if you want to expand on the seraphim, that sounds...
Seraphim were the ones that were used on the Ark of the Covenant, which was held in the Judaic Temple of Solomon. And when the cherubim were portrayed and actually emulated on this box, they were frightening looking. In fact, we're convinced through antiquity that this is where the gargoyle syndrome came from. And from the mouths of these seraphim would emanate an electrical current.
Like a stun gun.
Because it was a generator.
Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant was a generator.
So the two faces would be like this on the box.
Facing each other.
And there'd be a big sparky arc. Electrical arc going between
the Ark of the Covenant.
Literally an arc.
Yeah.
Of the Covenant.
And that's why and this was actually handed down to them by other entities from other aliens.
Is there something, let me use the word more colorful to that, because in the Bible they speak about a rainbow as the covenant with God. So in my mind, maybe because they called this the Ark of the Covenant, was this more than just a thin line of electricity? Was it brilliant hued colors?
Oh, it could be. It could be at times.
So it was adjustable, if you will.
And that's why no one was allowed, because if they touched it, they could die of electrocution.
Oh, and of course. They did. And they would.
Can we ask what the purpose of them leaving this with?
They never knew how to work it. That was a tragedy. It was supposed to be a very mystical and metaphysical way for divining, but they never knew how to regulate it. So from Andromeda, where it first came from, if you notice, all you hear about is that the Ten Commandments were carved out by Moses. They don't say that, but we know he was gone for 6 weeks and chiseled. But anyway, and then all of a sudden this box appears by which they should put the Ten Commandments in. It never says how it got there. It just said it came. And of course it came because it was brought down.
Well, it would prove otherworldly intervention too.
The same as the pyramids were made by otherworldly interventions.
And one of the problems of the, Judaic tradition is they didn't want anything otherworldly. They wanted just their God. So they might have had.
Well,
a best
they
interest
assimilated it as their divine, and it was taken and by one marauding tribe after another, and then later it was lost. And of course, we all know that it is under the Sphinx in Egypt, because that's where it resides now. Yes.
Was this device cold fusion, like the cold fusion that we're developing?
Absolutely. And it was supposed to be used for healing.
So that's basically what we're going to find out, is that the cold fusion that we're developing now is basically a return back to the primitive and the answer to all of our environmental problems, and as well as energy, but also the divine healing.
And see, if man ever gets to the point that he can either freeze the body or heat it to a certain range, still maintaining life, a lot of illnesses can be killed. You know that in your own seasons that certain germs have a proclivity for certain seasons because of either rain or warmth or heat. And in certain parts of the world where heat reigns, there are certain typhuses and choleras. And yet other illnesses do not reign there.
Right.
When man gets to the point that he can electrically know how to charge the body, know how to cool the body, know how to heat the body in intervals, then man will heal a great amount of illnesses.
Well, then the device now that we're utilizing, we don't know what the metal is, but it's lithium sulfate, water, and then this metal. So this device was the same. So the size of this device, the ark evidently, was a huge generator, but it was also a vibrant, it'd be a sequencing device.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So it was automatic.
And a molecular sequencing.
Right, so it was on a molecular level and automatically adjusted.
Yes.
So not only was it capable of huge outbursts of energy, but also very minute.
Minute. And you see, they didn't know how to control it. So at any given time, somebody could come up and touch it, and nothing would happen. Somebody could come up and touch it again, and they'd be electrocuted. And of course, they used that as this was a bad person, that was a good person.
Yeah. Biomagnetic cold fusion.
Exactly. Yes.
Can a person who's a dark entity, Rahim had mentioned that they have their version of archangels, and they could call upon them. And it's almost like if you see a person who's really dark, it's almost like there's a bunch of people following them.
Oh, yes.
And so, and that's sort of their archangels, and so you have to put more around you.
Oh, yes.
What do they look like? What do theirs look like? I mean, do they have
Cowls.
Okay.
Dark cowls. And when you look into the cowl, you really can't discern the face. All you see are glowing eyes. So we're constantly amazed at some of your, what you call your
fantasy movie.
Horror movies.
Kind of like the Jawas and Star Wars.
Yes.
The little hoods.
Yes. Yes. They're bigger. Yes. But everything has a basis in reality. Yes. All the things that move in the dark, all the darkness that man has created. Not that we're going to go into or believing in the werewolf syndrome or the vampire syndrome, although we know that there are certain people that do live off of blood. But this immortal undead is ridiculous. What they should say is the immortal undead are the dark entities.
Yeah.
They are the immortal. And we have a reference, we call them almost, sometimes when, let's say we get very agitated, we call them the soulless ones.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be automated by the other side more than any self-referencing.
Yeah, it's almost like someone's working a computer and then they're just sort of outputting what's coming through them.
White entities have a tendency to self-reference themselves a lot, but they have to be very careful. Also, because too much self-referencing in a white entity leads to an ego disturbance, which it doesn't in the dark entity. It's amazing because dark entities have no problems with ego. They have no problems with I am because there isn't one.
As you may know, I no longer work in the Silicon Valley, and I'm up on my hill, and I say that I'm being infused by my redwood trees. I am meeting people and having conversations up there that I'm making connections I would have never made if I was still grounded.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, there's a man named Jim that's a neighbor of mine, and he tells me that there is a mirror up from where I live. Is that true?
A what?
Well, I almost think it's a crystal. It's a portal. I don't know.
A
Like
mirror?
a time thing?
A portal, you mean?
I don't know what the time things.
Well, that's a portal.
It's a portal.
Yeah. There's portals all over the areas, and usually you do find them in mountains. I'd have to scan to find out exactly where, I know where you are, up by the redwoods and in the mountains. But I don't know of any right now, a portal. I'll have to find out.
He said that I found a big sledge that the neighbor that he borrowed from the neighbor. And I said, okay. I said, now you have to take me to the mirror. He said, well, I'll take you to near where it is, but you'll have to find it for yourself. That's what he said.
Sounds like he doesn't know where it is.
Okay.
If it's there, I'll find it.
Doesn't charge you yet.
Promise me you'll tell me if you've heard these before, because I'm like, at this second. So, did this sound new to you?
Yeah,
Great. Okay, I'll feel better.
absolutely. Yeah,
'Cause I'm
This is-
like,
I've never heard this before. Yeah.
okay, good. I'm relieved because I'm like, anyway, I'm standing on edge over here, like, I'm replaying stuff again. Oh well. No, what excited you about the portals?
Because I know that Chris Dufresne has mentioned. I heard recently Chris Dufresne had mentioned to somebody that they had a portal on their property, and I was like, I have never heard of something like this being talked about, because I know that they have the like the three really really big like portals that are like one's in Nebraska, one's in the Bermuda Triangle, and one's like I don't know, somewhere. But but this was different. This is something completely new. I've never heard them talk about before, to my knowledge, anyway.
Okay. All right.
And so I don't know if anyone else caught it. Did she say that it was about time?
Something like that. I've kind of lost track of what its purpose is, but I just know that it feels like there's one there, but this guy, Francine's thinking that this guy doesn't know what he's
might be
talking about.
Might be full of baloney. Sure. Yeah. So anyway, I was really 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 excited to hear about that, because people say like, oh yeah, there's portals places, and I've always thought that that's like kind of baloney. But here's Francine is saying like, no, they're all over the place. But I don't. Yeah, like you, I don't know what they're for.
They may have different purposes. An example that comes to mind. Well, so the ones we've talked about in Nebraska, we've heard from trance in Nebraska and the Bermuda Triangles. Those, to what I recall, is take us to like
highways,
highways through the universe kind of thing. Where now I know of a gentleman. used to attend trance classes, that his property has a portal on it. But what I understand it's used for is when this person would get like antique items, purchase antique items, it would sometimes have like a spirit attached to it, a ghost attached to it, that has clung to it. And when they come onto the property, that portal then allows them a place to go. So it's in
Interesting.
essence releasing, whatever is clung on to the antique item.
That sounds so strange, but I'm so fascinated.
Yeah,
So fascinated. Well, hopefully we hear more.
yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see. Yeah, what's interesting. It's fun to hear you're excited about it, and yes, will be fun to go see and experience these things firsthand. I've been to that gentleman's house, and I don't know if he ever knew where exactly it was. It's just that when stuff is brought onto his property, that's a place for those the stuck entities can go. So yeah, I was never. How do you say? We never went and found it or touched it or had any kind of experience like that. So, but yeah, it
Interesting.
seems kind of fun. Other than the fact that the guy in Nebraska got stuck in there from one of our trance stories.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. The highway portal. We've only been told of 3 highway portals, and one's in Nebraska, one's the Bermuda Triangle, and the other one I think is Stonehenge. I think.
Yeah, I've forgotten.
Yeah, but so those are just generally areas that you don't want to be going and messing around with in the Bermuda Triangle. You could not pay me enough money because we don't know how to use them, and people do get stuck in them, and because we don't know how to use them. So, interesting. So I guess it sounds like these portals that are just like small portals that are all over the place. It sounds like those, are pretty innocuous and don't really do any harm. And all right, cool. I hope to hear more and explain what they're about.
Sounds like
It's
an
interesting.
in-house vacuum system.
Yeah.
You open the flap and on goes the vacuum machine for you, and you don't have to drag out the vacuum cleaner to clean the house.
Yeah. Some folks are asking in the chats on Facebook and YouTube about how do you know how to find a portal? What are they for? I have no idea. This is the first time I've heard them referenced, and Francine hasn't talked about them to my knowledge before. So I will keep an eye out. If anyone knows of any past segments, please feel free to email us so that we can promote that knowledge. Look forward to otherwise just look forward to hearing more if they get brought up in the future. So what did you think of the Ark of the Covenant discussion?
I want to go find it.
It could be Indiana Jones, Indiana Tom.
Just as you're fascinated by the portals, I'm like, oh, I want to go find that thing, just to witness what its capabilities are, and hopefully not get killed. But right now, that's a bit of a challenge given the circumstances on the surface above, and who owns it and who controls it and all that fun stuff. So I'm just surprised. Well, I'm from my understanding, it hasn't been found, but I could be wrong, and I'm surprised. So either they, as of these trances, I think Francine would have said, yeah, they found it or not, and I don't recall her saying that anybody found those things yet. So I'm surprised that it's still hidden. With as much digging as goes on, to my understanding, that goes on over there, I'm surprised they haven't found it. I recall in the news that there was some discovery of a chamber under the Sphinx, and I'm like, they're heading right to it.
That's right. Yes.
And so I but I haven't heard anything since, and that was like years ago.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, fingers crossed. We see the day that we can see this incredible object. Part of me wonders if there are people, like authorities, that know that there's something
Yeah.
there, and that it is of like otherworldly origin, and they're keeping it
Or
from.
or not knowing that it's, well, as you said, yeah, it's either they know that it's worldly or otherworldly, or that it's a religious relic and don't want
Yeah,
it um,
to cause mayhem.
mayhem, or not that it was more. What's the right word? Um, it's a rare object, and that it gets misappropriated to the the wrong place.
Yeah,
Like somebody grabs it and sells it on the black market somewhere. That's
yeah.
that would be.
How, God, could you imagine the amount of security that would need to be like established for an object like that, the Ark of the Covenant, like the Louvre, but with like a private military around or something. I don't know. I don't know. I personally think in terms of like in the same with the same way that Gnostics and like Rosicrucians and like the Templars and stuff, they kept things on the hush hush to try to
Right.
keep Gnostic objects and what am I looking for? Knowledge secret, so that it doesn't
Right.
cause like a big brouhaha with people getting killed and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
libraries burned. I wonder if there's similar conversations that have happened about the Ark of the Covenant. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm totally wrong. I would love to see it brought out into the light, though.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
A couple comments. P. Fuller says, portals are gateways to Andromeda and other galaxies, as stated by Sylvia on Montel years ago. Yeah, that was those three main portals that we were mentioning there. It's absolutely true. And it took 4 years. We were not 4 years. It took 4 hours. It takes 4 hours to get from, like, using one of those portals to go from Earth to Andromeda. It takes only 4 hours to use one of the portals, and by using one of those portals, it will, the highway portals, it will make you look 10 years younger when you arrive to the other end of the destination. But then when you take it on reverse, then you're back to your normal age.
Gotcha.
Fascinating.
That's physically. If you were to physically use that,
Yes.
not spiritually. When
Not
you're on the
spiritually,
other
correct.
side, that's a different scenario, and you're in a different dimension.
Yeah, true. Aaron says, otherworldly, does that mean that things from other places in the universe end up here?
Yep.
The only other thing that I can think of are the crystal skulls being mentioned as being otherworldly, and that the pyramids were constructed with otherworldly help.
Well,
So those are the only things I can think of.
many locations around the Earth were, I think, had help, otherworldly help, to make, like,
Yeah. Probably
anyway.
Stonehenge, I imagine. Yeah.
Well, all of the, I mean, there's so many things. Watch the movie
True.
Chariots of the Gods.
Chariots of the Gods. There we go.
If you want a fun example, but
Yeah, true.
I keep forgetting the name of it, because Chichen Itza comes to mind. Which is the
Yeah,
place that's
true.
way up in the Andes, up at the top of or near the
Oh,
top of the Andes?
Machu Picchu.
Okay, yeah. See, I get
Yeah.
many of them like mixed up, but the precision stones, precision cut stones,
Amazing.
all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
is-
like laser cuts.
Yeah.
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 And with the crystal skulls, they're cut in such a way that it's against the grain, and people say it's impossible based on even our current abilities to make a cut like that with the crystal skulls that are around. So interesting.
Was the question, do we have other articles from other planets here? Was that the question?
Yeah, like do we have other objects
Exist.
in the
Oh,
universe
okay.
ended up here? Yeah.
That's a fun point. I would say yes, there are. But beyond what we've just mentioned, I'm not familiar with what could be or what is or isn't. I would say I would want to think that artifacts, well, they would bring things with them, to like not just the Ark of the Covenant, but things from their culture to share with us. I would think it's just they may be buried with everything else that's buried underground that archaeologists dig up, and we just don't know it.
True, absolutely true. Fascinating stuff. Well, should we hear more about the Ark of the Covenant?
All right.
Okay. So last we have more about the Ark. Francine prefers using a visualization of the silver net as opposed to a curtain. Box negative patterns and throw them away. Mystical travelers emit a neon blue light spiritually. And how spirit guides are selected.
So it's not
Cool.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right. Get your notes. Take your notes. Here we go.
All right,
Yes. I've got one more question about the Ark. When we talk about the fact that it was left here by the Andromedans, so this was it was actually an example of their propulsion system, but not propulsion, dimensional switchovers. Is that how they traveled?
Yeah, and also their healing devices they left. They were getting ready to bring more stuff down, but then they were looking down on this and seeing everybody fighting over it and racing around. They said, well, we won't do this anymore. These people are really too archaic for it.
That's true.
It was a shame, too, because
It's a
they
dangerous
could
story.
have left us with so much that man is beginning to bring back through his own cell memory. But other than that, there could have been so much that would have been used for. But you see, anything that is not understood sometimes becomes something to hold on to and becomes a force of greed, which is a tragedy thing. Power. Yes.
I was listening to a tape where Larry was talking about the silver blue light, and you or Raheem asked us not to overuse it. Is that still the case?
Yes. Only in times of dire, because it's not that it loses its effectiveness, but for your own mental astuteness, have something that you use for special times. It's the same as you don't wear a beautiful dress every day. It loses its beauty and its importance to you.
Okay, and the silver light of higher spirituality is something that we have in a daily prayer. Do we still leave that?
Oh, yes. I just don't want you to be using it every minute like you would the white light or the pink light or the green light. No, I'd use it. It carries more power with it. We find that with human beings, if things become too hackneyed, if things become too used up, then what happens is it becomes not as effective. See, your effectiveness with that blends or melds itself, I should say, to become more effective.
And we can use that as the metal. We can make it metal and protect.
Oh, absolutely, you can. You can make it as metal as you want.
And we refer to the silver curtain and the silver net.
Net.
Is there a better way to say it, or just either way?
Either way, personally, I've always liked the net. Because the net is confining, but it doesn't harm, but it keeps bad away from you. It spindles it up in spirituality, so I like it a lot better. The curtain, you can get away and run loose. The net sort of holds it away from you till you can get loose. Darkness.
And when you call upon it, then you are calling all the hosts of heaven to come.
Absolutely.
But when you surround yourself with it, it's a protective layer.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned at the last session concerning patterns and how to break patterns.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best thing that we can do in order to break patterns? You mentioned about, if you were rich in one life and poor in the next, and it sets up.
And you were starving in one life, and you got heavy in this life, or thin in one life. By recognizing that there could be a positive renewal of this, in other words, by going back in your meditative state, even if you only spend a few minutes at night or in the morning, and say, whatever patterns I'm bringing over. Now, first, search out the patterns. Is it insecurity? Yours happens to be fear of poverty. Find out, or say to yourself, wherever that comes from, let it be released. Let me not be so afraid of not doing the best job. Let me not be so afraid of failure success syndrome that I have. I'm talking directly to you now, Martin, not just hypothetically. And then have it released. Say, I have now named it, I've made a diagnosis of it, a truthful one, and now I want to release it. Very much like I was telling her about her hoarseness and the pattern that she's brought through the cell. Now that's a physiological thing, but there's so many psychological things that you can bring through too. The fear of failure, the fear of not completing something, being too analytical, that's your pattern. And by nailing that pattern and boxing it, you can literally throw it away from yourself. You can literally box it up. Yes.
About a year ago, when you were talking to us about protecting ourselves, Linda had asked you if there was something special we could use in protecting ourselves, and you mentioned a neon blue light, and I've been using that with the white light. Is that all right to use on?
Oh yeah, you can use the silver net, you can use the neon blue light, and it literally is. See, there's a difference between light and neon. Neon has a lot of fluorescent look to it, phosphorus. So you can actually make it glow. And people that carry with them the mystical traveler walk around with neon blue lights anyway. That's why people are drawn to so many of you, asking you all kinds of strange questions, or unloading on you, telling you about all their problems. Because mystical travelers seem to emit by their own esoteric substance, I want to say, is that they really, really emit this sort of neon looking. Yes.
Sylvia, thank you. I feel real calm for the last this year, but I can't get started and make a positive contribution to the organization. When can we expect that?
What organization?
This organization.
Oh, well, maybe I've made you so calm that I haven't. There's a danger in making you too passive. You'll come alive again. The very fact that you're seated in a chair shows that you're making a contribution. Your warm body sitting in a chair listening is a very deep responsibility and feeling that I have towards you for that.
Well, thank you. Have you been trying to make me calmer?
Yes. Some job, huh?
I have a question about spirit guides. They're ours to help us.
Absolutely.
How do we select those? Is it?
It's a conglomerate selection.
On the other side, do we chart our lives and then someone select?
Usually what I did with Sylvia and what all of you do is I trained with her for 700 years. But that was a little bit different in your time because I knew I had to speak through her. But even at that, your guides can be with you 300-400 years your time. And they get used to your ways, they get used to your idiosyncrasies. It's not by any means a little job.
No.
But it's all relegated to your choice and their choice. Because many times you'll make a choice, any one of you, that you want a certain spirit guide and you find out very quickly you're not simpatico. So what you do is then you go hunting or they come to you. But at any given meeting with council, you might have 10 guides and 10 guides vying for one certain person. And sometimes the harder the life is, the guide will vie harder because they know they will learn through that grueling life. So very rarely will you have a guide that wants to pick a person who has a nothing life.
So it's probably, from what I understand, it's probably not somebody that we're incarnate with in a lifetime or something like that.
Never. Has to be there before. And I think that's a very real valid question you're asking me. And it's also logical to realize that the guide has to be there from the very point of your conception and even before. If not, then it's a relative who died later. Then where in the world, what would happen to you between the age of 1 to 3 or 1 to 6 or whatever it might be? So you never would go unattended.
Talking about guides and helping calm people down, and yeah, it's helpful. Sometimes they give us help. Sometimes, yes, as best they can when we know we're challenged. They're giving us ideas and helping us to calm ourselves. I recall kind of a funny story, and I hope this was published. Because I think this was like published in one of Sylvia's books, that Montel was in surgery, and he knew he was how do you say, he was panicking, but he was unconscious, and he was panicking, thinking he was going to die during the surgery. And his guide, it was either an angel or his guide, I guess, had to act like an angel, something like that, had to start swearing at him, cussing at him to get his attention because he was freaking out so much. You're on pause, by the way. Pause. I mean, mute. But had
Hot
to
mess.
Yeah.
There we go.
But it was an interesting story of how somebody freaking out like that in that status. It's kind of like it sounds similar to if you've tried to wake up and you're half awake and you're stuck in that like vibrating mode and you're like, oh, and it can freak some people out. Well, yeah, at that time, his guide or an angel or acting like an angel came in and made a comment, had to cuss at him in order to get his attention, to get him to snap out of the panic attack he was having.
Wow.
It wasn't a physical,
So
because
interesting.
and that was like, I guess you could call it a spiritual panic attack because it was
Sure, yeah.
and, it was spirit more than physical because he was in surgery.
Scotty comments saying, I remember that story regarding Montel, how the angels have to talk to you in a language you will understand. I'll share one that I shared a while ago. A gentleman at my previous work told me that he had gotten into a really bad motorcycle accident, and he was absolutely positive that he had died. He was like, there's no way. And it was, and he described the crash, and it was like, oh my gosh, their angels were involved to mitigate. He still got injured, but it wasn't like he should have died.
Yeah,
he absolutely should have died. So that was an interesting moment where angels kept him from dying, but he still got injured, which I thought was really interesting to hear about. He did not walk away unscathed from that, but while he was freaking out and he was just panicking, just like, oh my gosh, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. He said that a neighbor came up to him and looked down and was like, boy, are you all right? And he coworker looked up and said, am I dead? And he's like, no, I see you just fine. And then walked away. And it was an elderly neighbor. But then he found out later that particular neighbor was out of town. He was out of state. And so it was an angel who was a familiar character, who was
created
calm,
a familiar character. Yeah,
took the form of a familiar face, to be very, very calm and reassuring. Like, of course I see. Oh, I remember what he said. He said, "Do you see me? Am I dead?" He said, "Boy, of course I see you." he walked away. So yeah, it's absolutely true. angels have to talk to you in a language you will understand. Yeah, it's amazing.
Fun stories.
Yeah. And Aaron shares, wow, 300 to 400 years for a guide. So my guide really does know me. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Does as well.
You could have had, previous lives in that 300-year period.
True.
And come into this one. So, again, I share with people about, incarnating. To come to this planet, we've had to do a lot of planning. We've had to have incarnate on other planets to learn how to come here. And then we do a lot of planning for the incarnations we do have here. And in addition to that, sometimes we do things or experience things in previous lives so that it sets us up for the next life.
Yeah.
And that's the process of reincarnation, or the part of the purpose of reincarnation is allowing us several times to be here so we can, well, in my fun expression, to satisfy our unique curiosity.
Absolutely. It's a complicated process. Geez, 300, 400 years, and you're taking lives in the meantime. So that means that there are numerous spirit guides that you're working with potentially.
Maybe. Yeah.
To have lives in advance of, sounds complicated. My goodness. Yeah. I appreciate.
So that goes back to the point. What if you don't feel you're helping others? Well, think again, because just being here,
true.
We are examples. Living examples of how to get through, how to take the next step, and it's not just for us, and it's not just about who is here incarnated. It's for the other side. We're
true.
They're observing us, they're watching us, and taking notes, as it were. Well, what did you do? How did they do that? Why did they do that? And taking notes for themselves, so when they set themselves up for their lifetimes, they have better. I want to say a better chance at, but it's also an educational thing. How to prep themselves to come here.
True story. And Kristen says, "Amen, Tom." Amen. Alyssa asks a question. What did she say the neon blue light was for? And it was in a context of protection tools. So you could use a neon blue light for protection. But it's also something that mystical travelers emanate already, apparently.
Yes. I don't have a blue light in front of me here.
That's cool. Kristen says, I feel I've been a spirit guide before. Interesting. Yeah, I always, when I was younger, I always had a habit of walking right behind the person I was with. And my mom, it would just drive her insane. She's like, get up here, walk with me. And it was just like, no, I always was walking, no matter who I was with, I was always walking right behind them. And I feel like that's something a spirit would do. Keep you in front of me so I can see you. It's funny.
There you go. Any other comments, or are we ready for meditation? I mean, meditation.
Ramona shares, after many meditations, I met my guide in a dream. Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful. And Narcissa says, I hope my spirit guide is proud of me. Girl, I am sure she is proud of you. I'm sure she's very proud of you. Just the amount, just us surviving and toiling away and making mistakes every day. Jesus said, even the best of men falls, like what? He said 7 times a day, I think he said.
Or more.
Or more. 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 So, if Jesus is giving us that grace, that even the best of men, best of people makes numerous mistakes every day, I think that gives us leeway to be able to say the mistakes that I've made, I'm just learning from them. And I'll figure it out, and I'm working on my own time. And I'm positive that our spirit guides are just proud of us just for getting up out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And on the days where we can't get up out of bed in the morning, they're just sending us love and understanding.
And another way to think about it is, yes, they're helpful. Yes, but I guess I don't know that we want to think of them as better than we are. That's I think a wrong way to think about it, because
true,
they're the ones that chose to stay there on the other side, and we're the ones that chose to be here.
Yeah,
we're the ones that are have the harder job of being here. So it's like
we've got the burden, the lion's share of the burden. Yeah,
they're the ones. They're the encouragers. They're to help us, and it's like they're ecstatic that we're here and we're doing the best we know how. I jokingly, it's because they're there and we're here. So they appreciate, and you're doing the best you know how.
Mm-hmm. Addie makes a comment. I'm so glad I'm older and more mature. I hope my spirit guide is having less stress these days. No more teen life. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I feel something similar. It's funny.
Cool.
Well,
any more, or do we want to?
I think it's a good time for meditation.
All right. Very good. For those of you that want to participate, find yourself a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap. Somewhere in there, about a balance maybe. Anyway, palms upward on your lap. I keep going like this and my hands end up like that. Your palms upward on your lap to receive that wonderful grace and rejuvenation. And for those of you that need to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us, but come back by all means to listen to these wonderful in the on-demand. These meditations should be available. For the rest of us, here we go.
Find a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and the body. Now close your eyes when you are ready.
A shower of stars. I want you to see behind your eyes a beautiful glowing star in the night sky. This star is blue, as they so often seem when we look at them. There are shoots of red, white, and silver around its corners. Now you are not just looking at it, you actually become part of it. You are the star. It is inside you, emanating the magnitude of your soul. Your greatness and beauty are now radiating. Also, the star's points are pushing out any and all negativity. To an outside observer, it might appear that you are streaking downward, but you are just gently descending in the dark sky. At first, in the fall, you feel afraid and somehow lost. You feel isolated. But hush. In the dark sky, you seem to feel the refraction of light, and you look over and there is another star. Lo and behold, as you look behind you, there are lots of stars falling with you. Your star does not intercept the light of others. We're falling together, shooting out our love of God, right action, non-judgment, even a feeling of passivity. We're streaking across the dark world with the light. Listening closely, you hear little yelps of happiness, because together we make a big, huge light. The other stars join our cluster, and we feel the bond of starlight that even joins the Star of Bethlehem, showing the light, the way, and the truth. Notice now your feeling of contentment and deep peace, your sense of will and your judgment center. Feel the strength of your backbone, insulated from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Feel the quiet peace and the benediction from God, Mother Asna, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit that surround us. Go out from today with peace in your heart and try to get someone else to pick up the thread. God love you.
Now, on the count of 3, come all the way back. 1, 2, 3. Fully and totally awake.
Did you make it? Yeah.
I did. I was just making sure my mic was turned on again.
What'd you sense
that
with
was
that
lovely.
one?
I was reminded of how Father God's symbol is the 5-pointed star, and as I was falling, I was reflecting. I was like, oh, like the human body is star-shaped too. What a beautiful notion! Like just like a star. And so I felt uplifted of the sheer number of people out there here on the planet, on the other side, and throughout the universe who do wish our space well, do wish us well, who do wish Earth well, and hope that we succeed. And so, even though it's a very negative place, there is so much well wishes out there, and I was feeling that. Just feeling all of the prayers that are out there in the world for the dark planet that we're on. So
yeah. Nice.
That's what I felt. Yeah.
Nice.
Uplifted.
Where we heard that one.
Right. Right. How's meditation for you?
Rejuvenating. I'm like now going back, like I don't remember it. I was just I remember like coming up like, okay, on the count of 3, and I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta turn this thing back on again.
It happens. That just happens.
But you know what? I was just recalling now. Yeah, the space, and then imagining myself as a star, but also the conglomeration of stars. Shooting through the sky and being a part of others.
Lovely.
Well, if you have any questions about what we shared, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to kat@novus.org or tom@novus.org. We appreciate the listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation for New Spirit Radio, like I've asked, by sharing, promoting, liking, subscribing. Of course, look for our websites, novus.org, sylviabrowne.com, and chrisrightnow.com. Yes, we may not be taking over Facebook, but you can find us there at Society of Novus Spiritus, Sylvia Browne Group, and New Spirit Radio Show. You know what? That one's going away. I gotta delete that one of these days. Also, of course, there's many Novus Spiritus study groups that you can participate on. On YouTube, yes, we have Society of Novus Spiritus, and Chris has his YouTube channel, Psychic Awareness. If you care to, donate and get something in return, you can start a study group. You'll learn more about our philosophy and learn more about it on our website. In addition, if you want to get something and donate, you can get onto Amazon Smile and tell them you want to donate your proceeds to Society of Novus Spiritus. Church services. Yep. Next Sunday, I am prepared to post another Sunday service with a classic by Larry and Sylvia.
As this feast day is soon.
Yes, that's what the ceremony is about. Is as
Nice.
feast day.
Beautiful.
So, you're yeah, I'll be posting that one here next Sunday. Next Sunday, yeah, that'll be Facebook and YouTube. And Reverend Ellen Schloss in Reno, Nevada, has offers special Sunday Zoom services. If you want to participate in that, put your email in the website, and you'll get a notice for that and an invitation for that. Let's see, and hopefully soon you will be able to follow along a live Sunday service in Reno. So that's in the works.
Ooh, that is exciting.
Yeah. They're going to work out some of their kinks, so they're doing that with their own private Facebook group to see how that, get that adjusted and working. So, and then we should be able to expand from there for fun and help, sharing with others. Now it's time for the novena. This is that special prayer ceremony that I spoke about earlier. For new people, we're going to say a phrase together, and I'll lead it, and we'll say it together. We're going to say the phrase 3 times, and then I'll tell you what we want to ask for. So the phrase is, I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. So it doesn't matter where you are, what time you're listening to this, whether it's recorded live or whenever, it doesn't matter. Because there's no time on the other side. This energy is going out. We're going to combine our energies to help each other. And of course, also, let's visualize that we're all holding hands together, making this huge circle of all of us participating, that energy gets multiplied as well. So here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for yourself. Okay? Again, I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for others. Okay. And the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a beacon for those seeking this spiritual knowledge, and share with them as well. And of course, let us know what you're appreciative of. Think of something to be appreciative of this week, and or tonight from last week. And of course, I'll show your appreciation for Francine and Rahim for researching all of this wonderful knowledge. And of course, Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum of the universe to start this movement and for showing us some peace of mind and grace while we're here. Asner for helping and protecting us. Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy our unique spark of curiosity. And then, of course, Bob Ingold for helping with some of the audio prep and graphics. Sammy and Javon for our wonderful intro-outro music. For the show, writing, setup, hosting is MIT Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. And now, a prayer by Sylvia. Let's see. Is that? Yep, that is a prayer by Sylvia. Let's try this.
Morning, the winter solstice prayer. Dearest Mother Asna, bless this winter solstice. Bless this time of quiet and introspection. Bless us with the colors of nature that you guard. Bless this earth and those of us who will struggle here. Please surround us with your grace. This, dear Mother, we ask in your holy name. We also call on the name of Jesus, our Christ consciousness, our Father who is with us, and the divine light of the Holy Spirit. The colors we ask our auras to emulate are green for healing, purple for sanctity, gold for higher consciousness, blue for tranquility, white for protection. We want all these colors to surround us, but we ask to receive a special color today that dominates our aura to manifest our needs throughout the year. Bless us, Mother. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
And Kat's going to tell us, because the candle's out already.
We love you very, very much. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. Take care of yourself.
For so long
Good night.
we have ignored you as if you were not there. All praise went to the Father. We were so unaware that through the years you've shed your tears for all the pain we bear. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You've planted every blade of grass, creator of the stars. And when I'm feeling down and out, you mend my broken heart. So now I sing this song of thanks because of who you are. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Place no one above more than a friend to me. You give me